Hello and welcome back to Euronews Now. Hundreds of farmers are taking part in a go-slow around the highways of France this afternoon and today in a nationwide protest over what they call agri-bashing. Rural workers say they are often criticised over issues ranging from pesticide use to animal welfare, and the rally comes a day after a similar action in Berlin. French farmers say they want a decent income and are being hit hard by international trade deals and new environmental policies. Our reporter David Chazan is in Paris near some of the protests and he can join us now. David, is there any similarities between what is happening in Paris and what was happening in Berlin yesterday?
Yes, I think there are a lot of similarities with farmers attempting to drive 1,000 tractors here to where I am on the Avenue Foch. This is where some of the French capital's most luxurious properties are located, and the farmers say that they want to come right into the heart of the capital to draw attention to their plight because they feel that they're often neglected by the metropolitan elites. And I've spoken to a couple of them this morning who are on the tractors, and they've told me that the police seem to be trying to stop them getting here. So for now, all we can see are just a few protesters just behind me. And the farmers have a wide range of grievances. They say that supermarket chains are forcing them to sell produce at low prices, and a new agricultural law brought in by the government has failed to improve their situation. And they say that it's so difficult for them to make ends meet that the suicide rate among French farmers is abnormally high. Now, they also feel unfairly blamed by the public for environmental issues, and they're particularly outraged at recent attacks by vegan activists on livestock farms and butchers' shops, and they're also worried about the government plan to phase out the controversial weed killer glyphosate, with many of them saying that if they can't use the pesticide, the risk is that they could just go out of business altogether.
Now, David, we've recently seen protests from students, lawyers, hospital workers, now farmers. Next week, there's going to be nationwide transport strikes that are due to happen. Is the French government worried that these protest movements could coalesce into something much bigger and turn out to be a huge headache for them?
I think the government's extremely concerned about that, and it's bracing for a big confrontation, starting with the strikes to begin on December the 5th, with train workers, lorry drivers, hospital workers, and even Air France staff saying that they will be joining the strikes. And that could bring France to a virtual standstill in the run-up to Christmas, which is bad news for the government. Now, what the strike are all about are President Macron's controversial pension reforms, and so we're expecting to see lots of people taking to the streets to protest against them. This is a huge test for Mr. Macron, who came to power promising business-friendly reforms to revive economic growth. The risk for him is that he may discover, like previous French presidents, is that the French vote for change and then do everything they can to resist it if it threatens to diminish the generous welfare state in France.
David Chazan joining us from France with all the latest on the protest. Well, Elise Tour is one of those farmers bringing the issue into the spotlight. She took over the land from her grandfather and hoped she could farm it for the rest of her life. But changing attitudes and uncertain income have her questioning the future. Neil O'Reilly has this report.
Alix Erto took over her grandparents' farm 50 kilometres south of Paris 2 years ago. Her grandfather farmed with the help of one or two people. She toils away alone on 150 hectares. Alix was training to be a nurse when she made the decision to go back to the land. She doesn't regret her choice, but worries about the future in a sector facing severe financial and environmental challenges.
On veut un peu alerter tout le monde pour dire
We want to warn everyone that if there are no more farmers in France, it has a knock-on effect on the French economy. It has an impact on other jobs. A lot of people will lose their jobs and a lot of companies will
beaucoup
close.
de monde qui risque d'être au chômage ou des entreprises qui vont fermer.
Alex finds attitudes to farming are changing in France. Practices once accepted are now being questioned.
Dès qu'on dit qu'on est agriculteur,
As soon as you say you're a farmer, people ask you a lot of questions about glyphosate, herbicides and pesticides, organic produce, and it's oppressive.
c'est assez oppressant.
But the biggest concern is the economic fragility of her way of life, her low-income existence.
Je sais pas si dans quelques années, comment va devenir mon entreprise.
I don't know what will become of my company in a few years' time, whether it will be viable or not. When I started this job, it was for the rest of my life, but now that's in doubt. Will my farm pay me a salary every month so I can live, or will I need to find another job on the side? Those are the questions.
Avec ça, ou va falloir que je trouve un autre métier à côté, ou des choses comme ça, quoi.
Farmers like Alex say they feel abandoned. That's why she and others are taking their protest to the government's door. Neil O'Reilly, Euronews.